Sex work is the oldest profession. It's seriously the oldest profession. And we need to start giving it the respect it deserves.
Hey everyone, it's Adrian Pangilinan, and we are back for season 2 of Soul Supremacy, where we will continue to talk about all things unapologetic, all things passion and in pursuit of. And it's actually been a minute since I've said that slogan, and I've missed it. And we have Dangerous Ginger in the house for our season 2 opening premiere, my friends. And before I continue, just a little brief context of why the podcast just kind of fell off the radar just for a bit. But for me, it feels like it's been such a long time. It's because your boy was living life and other opportunities and things kind of came into play, like how life usually goes, right? Um, and then, as you can tell, like I've been kind of getting back into vlogs. I've been able to check one of my bucket lists and have been working with CFC, or also known as the Filipino channel, in which I grew up watching. And I've been doing a lot of guestings as part of the press for their global media conferences, which has been like such a total like plot twist for me this 2021, right? But I will also have to say too that I've definitely missed y'all, missed my viewers and my listeners, and definitely missed being here in the hot seat, actually, asking these questions, and I guess creating a safe space for people to just express themselves and being seen and being heard. And without further ado, let's get on with this episode. And Dangerous Ginger, DG, how are you, my friend? How are you?
I am doing very well. I'm excited to be here, and I'm glad to see you, and I'm glad you're back. I've missed you. I've missed your podcast.
Thank you.
You are amazing. You are amazing.
Thank you, my love. We've literally missed each other. That's what it is. Yeah. Okay, so just like season 1, just kidding. Just like season 1, we're actually gonna keep the whole format is basically much the same, but we just have hotter, bolder guests coming this season, and Dangerous Ginger is actually the perfect guest to start off this season. So without further ado, let's get started with the icebreaker questions. So the first question is, what are 5 things that people wouldn't know about you from meeting you for the first time?
Oof. Okay. Oh, this is always the hardest question. I feel like most people wouldn't know is that I'm actually non-binary. Like right off the bat, throwing that out there, I am very femme presenting, and do not associate at all with being female or feminine. Really, I like feminine looks. Obviously, I love doing my makeup. I love getting my hair done, but I am not female. I am non-binary. My pronouns are they, them. I am also like gender fluid. I can present male if I feel like it. Like masculine presentation is actually what I'm more comfortable in versus being in the feminine presentation. And I really like mixing it up and wearing makeup while I'm mask presenting. So that's number 1. Number 2 is that I am polyamorous. I have multiple partners. I have 2 long-term, and one of them's long distance, and one is my nesting partner. And one is a guy and one is a girl, and I'm currently dating a non-binary, agender, AMAB person at this time. So I'm kind of juggling a bit with relationships, but it's all been good. Number 3. Oh crap, what would be number 3? I am a sex worker. Most people are shocked as hell when I tell them that, because I usually come off very soft, I've been told, but I also have a very aggressive, apparently, I've been told I have a very aggressive online presence is something I've recently been told, but when people meet me in person, I'm very soft and very kind and quiet. So when they hear that I'm a sex worker, they're like, wait, what now? And I'm like, yeah, it's just a job. And it makes me very happy, but it is still just a job. That's 3, right? Number 4, I guess I'm pansexual. Well, it's not my primary relationship, but the relationship I've been in the longest is heterosexual presenting, because it's a male partner. And as I said, I also have a female partner, and I also have a AMAB, a gender partner. And essentially, like when I'm with each of those partners, 2 of them make me look like I'm heterosexual, and one of them makes me look like I'm just straight up a lesbian, because most people think I'm a woman. And that's not accurate at all. I'm pansexual. So that's 4. And number 5, I apologize. Give me one more moment.
Oh no, you're so good. Actually, maybe instead of the last one, actually, I have a follow up question. So, I think I definitely know what non-binary means, but for those that are watching and or listening, would you mind defining what non-binary and also asexual means?
Okay. Asexual or agender?
Oh,
Because I'm
did you say asexual?
pansexual.
No. Did you mention
I'm
No,
pansexual.
no. Did you say
I said
agender earlier?
agender.
Oh, agender, that one, yes.
Yes, agender.
Agender and non-binary.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
Thank you.
So non-binary, you're welcome. Non-binary is you do not fall into the category of male or female. It means that you can either be gender fluid, where you go from one gender to the other, or agender is you don't associate with either gender, and you can just present either in a very kind of like a cryptid, is how I usually associate agender. Is they generally see themselves as something that do not fit into the norm of being male or female, but something other, or something somewhere on the spectrum of male or female, or just something completely different, like completely out there. I have seen some very interesting people out there who consider themselves either agender, gender fluid. There's so many types with under the umbrella of non-binary, which also falls under the umbrella of trans. So um, it's a multiple umbrella to get to non-binary, because it is under the trans umbrella. And it's just where you don't fit in to those boxes, is the easiest way to put it. You don't fall into the boxes of male or female. You can be either or if you choose, but your assigned gender at birth, which would be AFAB or AMAB, which is assigned male at birth and assigned female at birth, are what are basically what the medical community assigns us when we're born. And it's choosing to recognize that gender is a construct, and you can make it whatever you want. For me personally, I'm non-binary, and I consider myself more gender fluid. So I like playing with the gender roles. I like the gender appearances. I like sometimes being confusing as heck, or as confusing as hell. Let's just put it that way. Confusing as hell, and just wear both and wear whatever and just be myself in that form. And with a gender, like my person I am currently dating, they don't see gender at all. They just completely dismiss the construct and just are living their existence how they feel fit. And they just don't want to be associated with either gender, at least in my experience. I don't know too many people considered agender, but the few that I do, they just don't like gender at all, even more so than those who are non-binary. Because like non-binary people like playing, some like playing with the binary and some like throwing out the binary completely. So those are the definitions for those two, at least in my experience.
Thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to really clear and then really explain that, especially, well, actually, even for myself, I feel like I think I figured what it meant, but I was just like, let me just ask anyways, because if I don't know all the way, someone is not going to know all the way. So this is the platform too. Yeah. So, okay. So actually, I have a couple more questions. So how was your sleep last night?
Rough, to be honest. I was having vivid dreams, but they weren't bad. They were just very confusing. And I woke up this morning and I was like, you know what? I'm tired of not doing anything. So I decided to get up and actually start working. So that not so great sleep got me to work this morning.
Nice.
How about you? Nice. How did you sleep?
I honestly could have gotten more sleep myself. Well, okay, so I guess it was a mixture of like I didn't get enough sleep, but I was like really comfortable at the same time. I guess I guess I know that I could have gotten more sleep, but just knowing that I needed to get up at a certain time anyways if I wanted to get stuff done before recording. So I think that was the only thing. But like what you said too, taking control in like taking matters into your own hands, despite of what happened, right, is like the most important thing, because I actually really had a good delivery. And for those that don't know, I'm currently I'm a freelance content creator for myself, and I also deliver food or sometimes groceries through Uber Eats, and it's fun. I don't care what y'all say about it, it's fun. Okay, I make good money, so you know what I mean. It was a good day. It was a really good morning. That's why I was like, you know what? There is something about like, doing the best that you can in the moment without also pressing too hard into grinding. You know what I mean? Yeah. Okay, so my last question. Yeah. I mean, especially out of anyone that I've had on this show, I think it would be you. You know, that would definitely understand the importance of like finding the balance between like being productive and rest, basically the balance, right?
Yeah, it's so hard to get, but it's so important. So yeah, I feel you.
Yes, and then you know, actually, that's one of the things that we're gonna delve into more later in the interview. But my last question for now is, since this month is officially Pride Month, well, and then ours is like next month, and ours is next month in July, you know. But I'm just curious, what does this month mean to you and for you?
Okay, so it's been a journey for the most part. And it, for me, this year especially marked a revolution within myself and an epiphany within myself. And that is, I can't keep hiding anymore. I keep almost coming out to my roommates. And this past Christmas, I actually came out to my parent. Well, my mom's known. My mom's known about me being pan and poly for like 2-3 years now. And my dad, I just recently came out to as pan and poly this past Christmas. And that was huge for me. I have not come out as non-binary to either of them yet because they are very hyper focused that I am their daughter. And I'm trying to wrap my head around how to lighten the blow when I come out to them as non-binary, because it's coming. I recognize that it's coming. And like with my partners, my two long-term partners, they are both working very hard to use my pronouns, and they're both doing their best to make me feel valid, and they're both super accepting and understanding of who I am as a person. So it makes me feel that I'm going on the right path, and that I have chosen the right professions to move me forward in my life and to help inspire those who were in my situation. Because I sorry, my cat.
Oh no, you're so good.
It's not it's it's not the easiest thing, especially if you were brought up in a more conservative household, which I was, and like coming out as who you are to your family is not the easiest. But the fact that they're so accepting of at least the information that I've told them makes me feel a lot better. And we've been having more and more open conversations when I talk to them. And with my friends group, they're just like the most amazing people I know. They make me feel so seen and so loved. And they're always asking questions, which is something I encourage, because it's like you won't understand somebody, or at least be able to respect someone, if you don't know what is going on with them. So it's really nice, is what I guess I'm trying to get at. And the fact that I'm starting to see more poly and more like bisexual, pansexual, and more like gay, lesbian in like major media makes me so happy. So this month has been very low key for me, because I'm not ready to go out into the world yet, even though things are opening up. But I'm still celebrating Pride the best way I can by like doing makeup, making like self portraits, and trying to make more like gayish content and not just rainbow capitalism. So it's been a big deal for me in a subtle way, I guess, for this year. And I'm so happy it's Pride Month. I didn't realize San Diego's is actually next month, but I've been very
Yeah.
much enjoying. So I get 2 months I've been celebrating. So I'm going to just keep
Yeah.
celebrating all the way through July.
Yeah, because I know, well, from what I saw, San Francisco, Washington, and LA was just last weekend, 11 through 13, from what I saw. So,
Oh,
yeah,
oh, huh,
yeah. I mean, I'm
interesting.
gonna be honest. I'm not the most like well versed either, at least as of now. But thankfully, I did get to celebrate my very first San Diego Pride 2 years ago now in 2019. Literally the last one
Yay.
so far, like the last like
Mm-hmm.
normal or like that normal, which was.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually glad that I did because I was like holding it off for a long time. I was scared, but I was like, you know
Yeah.
what? I'm just gonna go. Not obviously, no one knew about Corona the year after. So then I
Yeah.
look at that experience and
Yeah.
being like, like looking back at that experience, that was such a clear reminder that like, why hold back? Like time is always fleeting. Each moment is fleeting. So
Mm-hmm.
you never
Mm-hmm.
know like how
Mm-hmm.
much like time we'll have or things we'll have. So I guess
Mm-hmm.
the moral of this episode is just go for it. There we go. Just kidding.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Go for it. Go for that podcast. Go for that YouTube channel.
Yes.
Leave that day job. Date that person that you want to date. Tell the person that you want to that you've wanted to tell that you've had a crush on them. Tell them. I don't know. As long as you're not hurting anyone,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. As long as you're
Right.
not hurting anyone, be yourself. Like, for damn sure, be yourself. fuck what they're going to judge you anyway, but why not be yourself?
Right, exactly. Like if you lean that way, they will say something. If you lean in the middle, if you stay neutral, they will say something. If you lean towards yourself, which is usually always this way, they will say something. So it's just up to you to choose whichever side of the spectrum works for you, right?
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is actually a very, very perfect segue to our main interview. So drum roll, please. Bing. Okay. So my very first question for you, my friend, is who is Dangerous Ginger? How would you describe? How would you describe Dangerous Ginger? I'm like, the okay.
I would describe myself as a non-binary pansexual chaos demon with a little bit of fox thrown in there. And the reason I describe myself as such is because it is integral to who I am. That non-binary piece, the pansexual, like my sexuality makes me who I am. And it's also what I sell. So it's important for me to embrace myself as who I am. And I am very chaotic. I have very chaotic energy. And it's something I've recently learned about myself is how chaotic my energy is. And the fact that I call myself a demon, I don't mean it in like the scary way. I mean it in
The archaic,
fun. This
the
is
archaic.
yes,
Yeah.
the archaic, the almost dogmatic way of thinking about it is
Yeah.
that like I'm just a creature of the moment and of the time, and it just feels right ever since I started calling myself a demon. And it started out as a joke. I'm going to be completely honest. I started calling myself a demon as a joke. Nothing has felt right. Like nothing else has felt right. Like that's my gender is demon. I am a foxy ginger demon. And I am this person who just wants to be kind. I want to like teach kindness. I want to teach people to recognize that it really doesn't take much to make someone feel seen. And it really doesn't take much to learn something new. I'm currently getting my certification in sexual health consulting and education. And I am currently a sex educator and consultant. And within that, I get to help people like understand their sexuality, understand their sexual health, and understand their sexual being. And I'm a very sexual person. And within that comes about the fact that I'm also a sex demon. So it's like, yes, yes. And it's like, I want people to feel that sex isn't something that you have to be afraid of and that it's something that should
Or
be
ashamed of.
celebrated because it's, or ashamed of. Yes, that's a big one. There's so much shame around sex and there's so much shame around sexuality and so much shame around just being yourself, which is a part of sexuality. Like we call gender sex. Like we call gender sex. So obviously it's a part of who we are. And it's just something I want to give people the platform, the space, the time, the ability to be acknowledged as who they are and give them the education that they didn't get in school. And like this is all a part of who I am. And another big part of who I am is I can't make choices. I have a lot, like part of the chaotic part is I struggle to make choices. So I have usually on a good day at least 6 to 8 different things in work that I'm working on. And picking the one thing to work on at that moment is always my struggle of what should I be working on? Where should I be networking? What should I be doing? And I find a way to multitask and do at least 3 a day to make sure I'm being able to pay my bills, to be able to go do fun stuff and to hang out with my partners and my friends and my family. And it's just I'm just a ball of energy trying to bring about sex life and enjoyment to those who happen to come upon me. So I
Yes.
guess that is the best descriptor of who I am. So yeah,
I
I
love
think
it. I
that's it.
I love it. I love how you like definitely came more into life. I felt like when you started explaining that, like, not sure if you're, it. I love it. Thank you, thank you. And actually, the last part that you said is
You're welcome.
actually the perfect segue to those that you like make a difference and those that you've crossed paths with. And speaking of that, how did we meet? How did we cross paths?
Uh, we met through a friend, and it was at a party, and we just started talking. It was at a party, right? And we
You
started
can say it's a
talking,
party.
and
Yes, yeah. We were at the
yeah.
we were grabbing dinner at Bayan's the
Oh
tadigs,
yeah.
the Persian tacos.
Oh,
Yes,
thank
last summer.
thank you for reminding me. Yes, it was the Tajig, it was Spions, and it was yes, we met there. That is where we met. And we met through Nicole, Katniss Rose, just plugging
Katniss
her in real
Rose,
quick.
shout out.
Um
Yes.
and Bion and the Tajig, which I hope
Oh
will
yes.
start coming back soon. I missed that. That was amazing. And yeah, we met there. We met at the bar and we just started talking and we had this very long conversation. And somehow I slipped in that I was a model. And then you mentioned you were a photographer.
Yes,
And
yeah. That was, I
yeah,
guess, the
and
rest
very
was
shortly,
history, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then we scheduled our first photo shoot and we've been friends ever since. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for reminding. My
Oh,
memory's
you're
been
welcome.
really
I was
bad
like,
lately. So
oh, oh no, it's okay, my friend. I was like, what party did we go to? I'm just kidding.
I think I was thinking Valentine's Day.
No,
I
no,
think
no.
I
Yeah,
was
that's what I
thinking
was gonna
Valentine's
say.
Day last
No,
year.
yes, yeah, yeah. Which to
Mhm.
clarify, we ended up having a Valentine's Day, Galentine's Day, whatever
We're
shindig. You know what I mean? Valentine's Day
mhm.
this year,
Yep.
which was really fun
Yeah,
actually.
Valentine's.
Yeah,
It was. It
Valentine's
was
Day.
awesome. It was awesome. Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, my friend. So before
Yeah.
we dive more deeper into the podcast, I just wanted to give you the opportunity. And actually, I'm also curious myself, and especially for those that are tuning in. Would you mind explaining a little bit more about the work that you do, and I guess also how you
Okay.
got into it?
All right. So, um, I know you guys don't know this, but I used to be a nurse. I was an RN. I used to work in the ER and I used to work psychiatric care. And
Did
I
you
did
hear
this
that,
for
y'all?
6 years.
Traditional job. Dangerous Ginger had a traditional job.
Yep.
Okay, continue.
So I was doing that for 6 years. And during those 6 years, about 3 years into it, I moved to South Carolina. And I didn't want to go back into nursing. I was really struggling. I really did not want to go back into nursing. And then I just remembered one of my friends being an online sex worker. So I started talking to them and I was like, so how do you do this? What do you do for this? Like how can I get into this? And me, I had that normal misconception that it was quick money. I'm throwing that out there. I had that misconception that it was quick money. It is not quick money. And I learned that the hard way. And so I registered for my first site and I did that for about 6 months. And my partner was, it caused some bumps with me and my partner. This is my male partner who I've been with. It'll be 6 years, July 4th. We'll be together. And He was supportive, hesitantly, because we weren't sure, and our relationship was still in its early stages, so we were still figuring things out. And then I threw this wrench into it, and so I did it for 6 months, and I wasn't super successful, so I went back into the ER. And I did that for 2 years with doing sex work on the side. And then I got fired because I either did something stupid or someone ratted me out at my job about being a sex worker. So I lost my job. And then my partner's grandmother passed away. So we moved out to California. And I, once again, was so exploited by being a nurse that I didn't want to go back. So I spent another 6 months doing online sex work, and I wasn't making enough to pay rent. So I went back into nursing, and I did 2 more years as a psych nurse in various psych facilities in California. And it's Southern California. It's beautiful here. And we're pretty close to LA. And the pandemic happened. And so what went from being part-time work, doing kind of for fun and as a hobby, became my bread and butter. So I began doing sex work full-time because I could not see myself going back into nursing, being exploited, being used. I wanted to use my body, my time, my energy for something that I cared about. And with sex work is I give people the opportunity to feel seen. I give an opportunity for people to get educated about their kinks and about things they enjoy. And I get to enjoy myself. I get to come every day. Like I literally get to orgasm every day. Not everyone gets to say that. I know a lot of people might masturbate every
Yes.
day, but I get paid to masturbate. I get paid to have sex with my partner. I get paid to talk to people on the phone, or how we're talking right now, on like Skype dates and stuff like that. And it's, for me, it's a way to connect with people, and it's a way to embrace my sexuality and just embrace this huge part of who I am. And it's just like, and it's taught me to love myself more. I'm going to throw that out there. And it's taught me how to be assertive with my needs and my wants, and how to like say no to people, because that is something I did not know how to say for the longest time. And a huge part of sex work is knowing your boundaries, because you deal with assholes every fucking day. Like there are amazing clients. Do not get me wrong. I love my clients who are loyal, who tip me every day, who like talk to me and are kind and treat me like a freaking human being. But there are definitely clients out there that treat me like a fucking object, and there are people out there who treat me like a fucking object. And guess what? I get to use the block button. I get to ban them. And sometimes I have people pay me just so they can insult me, and then I can block them and still keep their money. So it's like there are a lot of perks to it as well. And it's just like exciting. And within this, and if I hadn't gone into sex work, I wouldn't have considered going into the sexual education and consulting. So those are also other services I provide. It's the ability to educate people on sex, because let's face it, the American sex ed system is trash. It's complete trash. People don't know where to find the clit because pleasure isn't discussed in sex ed. It's sad. And people don't understand about circumcision either. They don't understand like basic human anatomy because it's not taught. You know, in only 32 states is it required for it to be medically accurate. 32 states is only required to be medically accurate sex education. Yeah, yeah. Luckily, California is one of them, but California is also one of those states where it's optional to teach sex ed. Sex ed. There are 42 states where it's optional to teach sex ed. So that means the rest of the states, it's mandated to teach it. And where it's mandated, it's not necessarily mandated to have it medically accurate, because there's only 32 states where it's medically accurate. So that's just, yeah, frustrating. I'm going on a little bit of a tangent. But it's just
Oh no, you're
like,
so good. We're all here for
it. Yeah. So that's the things I'm trying to change. And luckily I live in a state where if I wanted to teach sex ed, I have to teach medically accurate. I have to teach it correctly. So that makes me happy. And with teaching, it is another part of sex ed is because usually when you're talking to clients, they're not informed. They're not informed either. So it's like you have to teach them certain things, or you, especially with doming, there is a huge, huge teaching point. Like almost every time I'm doming someone, I get to teach them something new. And it's also a huge thing is teaching consent. That's a huge part of it for me. And I get so happy and so turned on when I can teach someone how to properly use consent. And this is why I primarily work with adults. And when I start teaching virtually or in person, one of my major topics are going to be gender, which we've been discussing, and consent and BDSM and sex work are my 4 points that I'm going to be teaching every time I teach to a different company or something, because that is part of what I do. It's just I get clients who I get to get off and make happy, and then I have clients who I get to teach education and consent and how to negotiate with your partner and communication. It's just lovely. I love it, and it's so fulfilling. It makes me so happy. And I get to work with all these crazy creative people who just validate my existence just by existing. So, yeah, it's what I love, and I can never see myself going back into nursing. I am currently in a little bit of a bind, but I have support to like help me, and that's why I've been working really hard to get out there. I'm trying to get more clients. I'm trying to welcome abundance into my life. And it's a huge part of owning your own business is being willing to take that abundance and not being afraid. And I'm recognizing I'm still in the early stages, but I am getting there. And having people like Adrian supporting me is a huge help. And having people in my life who just are open to this crazy energy that I am and this crazy job of doing sex work and sex education and consulting, it just makes things so much more exciting for life. I can never go back. I can never go back. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, no, you're welcome, and thank you for your
Yeah.
kind and loving words. Multiple things that came up to my mind as you're beautifully sharing your answer. First, definitely there's something about when you mentioned about like you did the thing, you pursued something that was considered safe, traditional, and it didn't work out for you. Like you got fired. Oh, I remember now. Okay. So what you actually shared, at least for the first part about that, almost all successful people, especially creative entrepreneurs or just entrepreneurs in general, specifically, like a lot of their stories are like that. It's very actually common, that they are
Mm-hmm.
doing something that they thought would would elevate them in life, and then something happens, and then they get fired, and then there's something in like getting fired that really just makes them realize that it wakes them up and it makes them realize like, what am I doing? you know like,
Mm-hmm.
what do I really have to
Mm-hmm.
offer in this world, and how can I do that? And a lot of times that's
Mm-hmm.
where, and when, you know um we find out that we're actually being called to be creative entrepreneurs, because I was also having these conversations at a family party I had this weekend. And, while like the conversation was like going, I was like, okay, the things that I was listening to, I was like, okay, it sounds like, you're clearly like in this route of like the 9 to 5. And, while it's not for everyone, it's also for some people. And I think to also, I guess, validate your
Mm-hmm.
statement earlier of like, it chooses you, because I myself like felt guilty for such a long time of like, why like couldn't I make this setup work for me? And then I came to
Mm-hmm.
realize that, oh, it's because I'm being being called to do something else, and that is perfectly okay. Like, it
Mm-hmm.
is okay. You know what I mean?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then
Mm-hmm.
also too, like, thank you. Thank you for really coming here and sharing your story. And actually, I would actually, because you're one of the first people that I know that is in this line of work, like being, I'm just thankful for you being a trailblazer, I guess, not just into my life, but also the future people that you will reach and educate, which I think is the biggest thing. Is like, sometimes the things that you are like, you want to be an advocate about, you like have to be that yourself first. Like, you actually have to be the vessel for that, you know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? So then in doing
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
then people start to see like other lights go off, like the 32 states. Maybe in the work that you do, you could slowly but surely start to grow the numbers from 32 to
Mm-hmm.
100 states. No, I'm just kidding. 50 states. You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yeah, actually. So we're going to take a little bit of a detour back into a young, dangerous Ginger. I guess maybe even before he became dangerous Ginger. So, if you don't mind, please share a little bit of what was childhood like for you. Like, what was life like for you? What was the world like? Oh, did I say that correctly? What was the world like for you as a kid? There you go. I feel like I'm mixing like and life. Tongue twisters.
It is a little bit of a tongue twister, but also you're welcome to go back to
Yes.
earlier. I'm glad to be here. It makes me so happy and to address this question. All right.
Thank you.
So, as a child, um, I didn't have the easiest upbringing. I didn't have the hardest upbringing. I recognize that I was brought up in a lower upper up. This is going to sound confusing. I was brought up in a lower upper middle class white family in Pennsylvania,
That makes
and
sense.
I
No, that makes
have
sense.
two older
Lower,
brothers.
upper.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, lower upper middle class, and I have two older brothers. I have a lot of trauma that no one knew how to address because when I was 6, I got molested by a neighbor. Not and I thought when that repressed memory came out, I thought it was fake, but my mother was able to confirm it for me. But I realized because of that molestation when I was so young, it led to me making a lot of dangerous decisions. And since I was brought up in a more conservative household and I was already quite rebellious at a young age, I was always the one getting in trouble. I was a delinquent, and I was very confused about who I was at a very young age. Like I didn't know what it meant to be a girl, and I didn't know what it meant to be a boy because I was brought up with basically 7 brothers. I had 5 cousins who would always visit, and then I had my 2 older brothers. So I was surrounded by guys, and bless my mom and bless my grandparents, like my grandmothers, they tried their hardest to make me a proper little girl, and I would not be it. Like they tried their hardest, and I couldn't. It wasn't me. So I just didn't, and it caused a lot of problems within my family and within every part of it. And I realized at a very young age that I wasn't straight. Like, I thought I was going to marry my neighbor. Her name was Andrea, and we were like 9 or 10. And she was my first consensual kiss, and I thought I was going to marry her when I was 9. And ever since that age, I always thought I was going to marry a girl. Like, I always thought I was going to marry a woman when I grew up. And I was like, and then I was told that's not normal by my grandparents, specifically my dad's mother and father told me that this wasn't normal because I was kind of bragging about it. And yeah, that was a little uncomfortable. So that was kind of strange for me. And then I became a teenager and I got into some very unhealthy relationships. I got into a relationship with, it was one of those relationships that weren't relationships for 12 years, off and on, from the age of 14. And this person was 5 years my senior. And then I got into another relationship after that one, went into a pause, and I got into an abusive relationship for 7 years. And those are things that have definitely created me. I learned everything I didn't want from life from them. And then I got into a relationship with an alcoholic shortly thereafter. That relationship ended. Really, really made it clear what I did not want from my life. And yeah, so growing up, I went through a lot of struggles, and with all of that, a huge part of it was my sexuality, and a huge part of it was my gender presentation, I guess I should say. Like, a huge part of the reason why my partner abused me was because he constantly thought I was cheating on him with girls, because he knew I was bi, and that at that age I thought I was bi. And like, I like using pan or queer to describe myself, like pansexual or queer to describe myself. I'm not a big fan of the bi, but I'm a huge supporter of my bi friends and family and siblings who are bi. So it's like I'm not judgy with it, but it's like I prefer pansexual or queer. And it caused so many issues with partners growing up because they constantly thought I would cheat on them. And it doesn't help that I knew at a young age I was polyamorous. I had one polyamorous relationship before I turned 16, and then the rest were monogamous after that. And I'm currently in multiple polyamorous relationships. And after I left that relationship at 22, the really abusive one, I was able to really embrace being poly. And all these things made it a struggle. And not being able to say those things and being afraid to speak up was a huge part of my life. Like, my family tried their best. My mom spoiled the crap out of me growing up, but she was also very judgy. And when I started becoming like a fully matured sexual creature in my teens, because that's when it starts, we had a lot of issues. Like, me and my mom, she tried her best to make me wait till marriage. I lost it when I was 14. Like, I lost my virginity, and virginity is just a fucking concept. Like, people don't recognize that. Virginity is just a construct. And we shouldn't put someone's value on a piece of, like, flesh. It's literally a piece of flesh, and it's really confusing. But yeah, back on topic about my life and my childhood. Another huge part of my childhood was that I was inundated with a lot of like gay, queer around me because I had lesbian aunts who we didn't speak about the fact that they were gay. They were just a couple, and sometimes referred to as best friends who were dating when they've been married since before I was born. So it was really frustrating because it was like they accepted them coming, but at the same time, certain family
Just put under
members
the
wouldn't
rug.
accept that they were married. Yes, it was put under the rug. It was very confusing for me, especially at a young age, because it was like you're accepting them, but you're not accepting them. Because they would always whisper, they would whisper behind their hands. about them, and it was so confusing to me. But it was like they were people I looked up to because they were wealthy, they took care of business, they owned their own businesses, and they were two women married. It was a wonderful thing for me to see. I was like, this makes me so happy. This so women can marry each other. And this is before it was legalized in the States. Like we officially got the legal right to marry not too long ago. So I think they renewed their vows or something when we got it officially. But they technically had been married for a long time before that happened. And I loved them. And also my school was very progressive. Like my elementary school, I made out with a few girls on the playground a few times, and then going to middle
Okay.
school, yeah, I was, as I said, I was a little rebellious, delinquent shit. My mom would get mad at me very frequently because I was constantly breaking rules. If there was a rule, I broke it without fail. um, yeah, on that note, get to middle school, and I was ridiculed like crazy throughout middle school. I was bullied like crazy. I had very poor self-esteem, but the people who would hang out with me, I was flirting with all of them. And I was making out with almost all of them. And my older brother, who's 2 years older than me, he was one of the first people I ever came out fully to at 15. I told him I was bi. And he was like, I already knew. He was like, I already knew. I was like, oh. It's like, yeah, I caught you making out with the girl in your bedroom. Oh, he did not like my first girlfriend. um, and honestly, like, I appreciated her. She was definitely a lesson in life. But I dealt with a lot of like depression, and I have bipolar disorder and PTSD. And it really showed its face when I was a teenager. I started cutting. I'm going on a year clean of cutting. I was 4 years ago before I got my LASIK surgery, and then I unintentionally hurt myself because I had a panic attack. But I'm 1 year clean of cutting, and I'm also almost 3 years clean, so 3 years sober because I had to give up alcohol. It was destroying my life, and I had to get sober. So I'm also sober now. And alcohol was a huge part of my upbringing. I started drinking when I was 14. No, when I was 12. My first time I got drunk with my best friend on potato vodka at the baseball diamond by her house. It was not a good look. It was not a good time. It was an amazing time, but it was a terrible time. I was like 12 and drunk. That does not make sense. And
12
so
going on
I guess
21,
yes, exactly.
right?
And
Or that construct of like you can only drink when you were
yeah,
21. But you know what? I will have
yeah.
to say that I'm really proud of you for recognizing that even though you've made those choices back then, that it didn't bring you any good. You know, because at the end of the day,
Yeah.
everything is just a choice, right?
Yeah, and thank you. Yeah, it is a choice at the end of the day, and that was one thing I didn't realize I had as a kid. I didn't realize I had a choice. I was brought up like my dad brought me up with the idea that women are supposed to be barefoot and pregnant. And then on the other side, you had my grandfather who only wanted me to be able to never financially depend on another person in my life. And that's who wanted me to pursue nursing. Lo and behold, I hated being a nurse. No, let's change that. I hate how the nursing system works. I hate how the system works for being a nurse. I loved taking care of my patients, but the system fucked me over and I couldn't be in that system any longer. And that's where I got to where I am today. Like my dad to this day is like proud of me for wanting to do my own business. He has an idea of what I do. He doesn't know about the sex work, but he knows I want to do sexual health education and consulting, which he's actually surprisingly supportive of. So is my mom, which makes me very happy. And I know not every sex therapist or sexual health educator or even consultant has their family behind them. I wish I could tell more about being a sex worker, but my mom basically knows everything about my life. So she's dealing with it. She's not 100% behind it, but she recognizes that it makes me happy. So she just wants me to be happy, and I feel very blessed. I didn't think I had the support growing up to be 100%. I did not, to be 100% transparent. Growing up, I really thought my parents were judgy and racist and very unwilling to learn and very like homophobic growing up. Like I really thought they were, because they were not the nicest to the people I dated, especially if I dated outside my race, which made me really mad. Like I was angry about that, and it pissed me off. And as I've gotten older, and the more I inundate them with anti-racist and like throw it in their face that I am pansexual and that I am poly and all of that, it's like you got to drop it. And they want me to be happy. They want me in their lives. They know I will, what's the term? Disown myself. I'll disown myself. I'll walk away. I'll estrange myself if they ever violate my boundaries again. They know that that's on the table because I have to care for myself. And they never want that to happen. And I am very lucky that they're both working on it to make it clear. My brother, my eldest brother, doesn't care enough to actually like form a whole opinion about my lifestyle and everything. He's just like, as long as you're happy and making money, that's all I care about. That is literally what he has told me every time I came out with him something different. Just make your bank, make your bag, and be happy. Otherwise, I don't care. So long as, I guess he's the type who's like, so long as it doesn't actually affect my life, I don't care. And my brother, he doesn't really understand gender as a construct anyway. So he knows I'm non-binary. And it makes me very happy. He only refers to me as sibling, which makes me super, super happy. And he's known since I was young my sexuality, and he's always been supportive. And it's like, I think it's partially because he doesn't understand gender as a construct. And it's like having his support makes it easier for me to talk to my family because he's usually involved. So yeah, I feel very, very, very lucky and very blessed and privileged with that. And I want to pay that forward. It's a huge part of who I am. I want to pay it all forward. I want to be that support person for people, because I know within the community, so many people get disowned still. And that's why, like, I just want to be a resource, and I want to be able to get people the resources they need so they can properly care for themselves. And this all goes back into the original question with like my upbringing is I didn't have those resources. I didn't have the accessibility to give my family the education about my sexuality. I didn't have the ability to speak about what I felt because they didn't teach me how to communicate. There was a huge lack of boundaries in my family's house. And since I've put up boundaries, that's where the struggles come from, is the fact that I put in boundaries.
Yes.
Not a man. I'm not a man.
Yes, sir. Yes.
I am not a man.
Yes. No,
there we
well,
go. That
yes.
That
No, yes. No, yes. But just to also clarify myself, I will say that to anyone. It's not just because, you know what I mean? But yes, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, so teaching people boundaries is I feel like a huge thing we got to teach in this country, because people don't know boundaries. People are very entitled, and it's like, you're not entitled to another person's body, and you're not entitled to another person's time or space unless they allow you there. And people don't recognize you need consent to be in someone's space. Like, a lot of people forget that.
Yeah.
Like, and I had no space. I had no privacy growing up. I wasn't allowed to lock my door. Like, growing up, I wasn't allowed to lock my door, which is really, and I'm a really horny person. And I started masturbating at a very young age. It was very uncomfortable growing up, and I liked being naked. I had a propensity to take my clothes off whenever I felt like it. I hate wearing clothes. I honestly do. Like, I feel the best about myself when I'm completely naked, and I don't have to care about what I'm wearing or how I look. I love being naked, and as being a non-binary person in an AFAB body who does not want to consider surgery, but I have been considering possibly doing certain surgeries. Like, I'm considering doing at least a breast reduction. But at the same time, like, it's taken me so long to even be comfortable in the body that I have. I don't want to have that learning curve again. So it's like, some people will elect to have either top surgery. Some people may elect to have bottom surgery. Some people may elect to, like me, not do anything because either financial or just comfortability. And I also have a lot of chronic illnesses, which would make it very hard to go back under a knife, and I don't like surgeries. Like, I really don't. I really don't. Surgeries make me very uncomfortable and scared. Like, I've had one surgery in my life where I had to be completely put under, and that was to get sterilized. I am sterile, and I am beyond happy about it. It was also very gender affirming getting sterilized. The fact that I can't have kids, because it's like, oh, great, I never have to worry about getting pregnant. So that is like, it's validating for me. And that one surgery was enough for me to never want to go back under the knife, because it reminded me of getting blacked out drunk. That's what I felt like when I woke up. It reminded me of getting blacked out drunk. And I don't want to go through that, but I know not everyone has that experience. And if, like, I'm throwing this out there, if anyone wants to get top surgery or bottom surgery or both, or get on hormones, do it, because you need to feel comfortable in your body. It's like, you're stardust in a body, but you want to be comfortable in the body that you present to the world. It's a huge deal. It's a huge deal. So,
yeah. Thank you. And you know what, as you were sharing your story, I was actually like kind of thinking too of why that question is in the show, and also why it's important. And you explaining all of that, really reminded me of why it is important, because a lot of times, if not, well, it is all the time really, our upbringing really has a lot to do with the people that we become. The people, the artists, the creators, the people that we become. And I think for me, I'm like, yeah, that's why that question is there, and that's why that question matters. And it's never like isolated. It's like, this happened in my childhood, hence why I'm partially like this, like this now, So thank you so much again. You know what, actually too, since thank you, you've really, like, I am, go ahead with your bad self. There you go. That's what I'm gonna say. I actually have like two more questions, because you've like you're so well articulated, and I'm just like, yes, keep feeding us live information. So my next question is, what does your work look like? Like, what does, because I know that you've mentioned some things here and there, but maybe take us through, like, I guess, a day or a moment of like a work day for you in your field.
Okay, so on filming days, let's call these filming days. On filming days, I usually have to I have to convince myself that I need to actually work usually, and that usually takes a good hour in the
Motivate
morning.
yourself.
So
Yeah.
yeah, to motivate myself. I do a gratitude journal daily. I've been doing that for a year and a half now. I can't, holy shit, it's a year and a half. I've been doing a gratitude journal for a year and a half, and I just finished doing a 30-day shadow work journal prompt challenge that I made myself do. And I made it through all 30 days. I'm very proud of myself. But those are like things that I do in the morning to get myself ready for the day and to remind myself, okay, this is what I'm grateful for. This is what I need to do. This is why I'm doing things. And so I do that. I get coffee. I have to have my coffee or I can't work. I get my coffee. Sometimes I eat, sometimes I don't. I have a very weird relationship with food, especially right now. And then I hopefully, if my roommates aren't here, I can film all day. But if they are here, I'll usually just do computer work throughout the day. And then I'll just like network, I'll advertise, I'll talk to friends on Facebook, I'll work on my press kit, I'll work on things that'll help build my business. I'll schedule things either with friends or clients. I'll sext all day with my clients on my sexting app that I have. And I'll do that throughout the day. And then I'll like also through that, I'll put in my notes what I want to film that day if I don't have any customs, because I love doing custom content. Like it's something I greatly enjoy. When someone gives me a script, I am always so happy to be in their character. It is just what I'm happy about. But since I live in a not super sex worker friendly household, I have to wait until my roommates are either asleep or not home. And unless I'm with my partner, which I'll film while he's all day at work. So when I'm with my partner, I'll just wake up, do my makeup, or maybe I won't do my makeup depending on what I'm.
Wake up, wear my makeup.
Makeup.
Gotta get glammed up to the.
Yes, to the tens, to the nines.
Yes.
And then I'll just go straight into filming, and I'll film 2 to 3 things. Maybe I'll do a TikTok, maybe I'll do a reel or something. It doesn't always happen because I get distracted and I get really into my filming. But then
which is very normal, you know, for us people who work for ourselves, create content. It's like,
yeah.
Oh, look, there's a butterfly outside.
Yep, exactly. And when I'm at home at my current living situation, I wait until they sleep, then I do my makeup, and I'll film maybe 1 or 2 and maybe a YouTube clip, or maybe just a YouTube clip that day, depending on what's going on and how late it is. I go to bed pretty early. I wake up really early, or I was, and my sleep schedule's just really screwed right now because I'm fighting an ear infection. But aside from that, when I'm with my partner, I get to just wake up, immediately start filming, and then I can just edit all day, or I can just branch out and reach out and work on my press kits and everything. So I like it when I get to go visit my partner, because then I have free reign of the apartments that he lives in, and I can do whatever I need to. And then when he comes home from work, we just chill out. It forces me to stop working. He will take my phone away from me to get me off my phone so we can just spend time together, which I appreciate. And mind you, my girlfriend does this too. She will take my phone from my hands and put it down so I don't work while we're having cuddle time. Because I will work. I will work through needing to go to bed. I will work till the latest now is 11 p.m. is late for me, but that's like how late I'll work till, without taking breaks. And sometimes I'll take a break and then it'll just be a break for the end of the day because I'll have emotionally exhausted myself. And I've recently started throwing in either before I start filming or after I start filming, I'll either stretch, work out, get on the treadmill or just do some yoga in my room. I've been slowly trying to incorporate physicality in it. So it's like that is a typical filming day. On non-filming days, it's usually I'll spend all day just networking, editing, and it'll be either editing photos or editing videos, which I have backlog that I need to edit for my YouTube and for my sexy stuff. Like, yep, for my slutty stuff, I have so many more that I need to do, and I have 10 YouTube clips that I have listed that I need to start filming. So I'm a little behind with the content I want to film, at least for my YouTube, but I'm way behind on my slutty content that I need to edit and develop. But it's like when I have those down moments, like as I said, I have bipolar disorder. When I have a depressive period, it's very hard for me to motivate myself to work. It's very like because I'm my boss. I'm my fucking boss. I get to decide when I work.
Yes.
When you're depressed, it's very hard to
say that loud and clear.
Yep.
Me too.
I'm my own boss. I get to decide my hours of work and when I get to fucking work. It's a wonderful thing.
And also
it is a fucking wonderful thing. Yeah, and when we want to rest, but sometimes that rest ends up being all fucking day. I'm not going to lie. It happens.
Yeah.
For me, it happens. It does happen for me. I think it's because as I said, I have some chronic illnesses to go with my chronic mental illnesses. And when I have a flare up, I can't do anything. Like I am physically incapacitated. I'll be curled up in bed with all the lights off and just soft TV playing in the background because I need noise. And that's what happens. And I get to take those days to recover and heal. Sometimes it ends up being more than a day that I have to let myself recover and heal. And it makes me mad sometimes that I have to take that time off to care for myself. But at the same time, it's the whole reason why I started working for myself. Is so I can properly care for myself and I can go to my doctor's appointments. I can take care of all my needs. And it's like, it makes me so happy I do this. Like, not just for the people that I like, the lives I touch, and not just for the clients who I get to get off, and for the clients I get to educate. It just, I can take time for me. And if I go through a manic phase, sometimes I'll just go right through all of it within hours, and then I'll be left bored. This doesn't happen very often. I'm not lucky to go through manias very often, but when it happens and I can actually concentrate, I can make a lot of content and I can edit a lot of content really fast. And when I'm happy I'm in a middle ground, so I can work and actually like schedule my work schedule. And this doesn't include updating my websites and working on my press kit and networking and trying to work with other sex workers and like work with clients and everything. All of that is thrown into all of this while I'm doing everything else. Like, it's all included because with being a sex worker, you have to work multiple, what's the term? You need multiple flows of income coming from multiple sites so you can actually get paid and have enough to live. So that's a huge part of it. And I'm actually getting merch made. That is something else that's coming up, is I'm getting merch made.
Yes, merch.
I'm really excited. Yes, I'm getting stickers and t-shirts.
Yes, I love it. Thank you for announcing it here on the podcast. Actually,
yeah,
I do have that's good. Actually, that that really brings me to like one of my like final questions. Where do you see all of this going for you? Like, where do you want to take this? And actually, before you answer that, I just also forgot and wanted to point out that what you're doing is jobs meant for many people. So as like creative entrepreneurs, content creators, a lot of times we're literally filling uh all the hats meant for like many, many, many people. And that's why burnout is so
Mm-hmm.
real. And that of course that's
Mm-hmm.
something that we are learning to recognize that's not shouldn't be normal moving forward, and that
Mm-hmm.
it's just a lot, until you like things become better and you can be like, hey, I have one person helping me out, two people, three people. But then it all really
Mm-hmm.
starts with letting your passion lead, because we all got to pay our dues. Years, I mean, days,
Mm-hmm.
months, sometimes even years of just like doing everything on your own until something finally sticks and you're like, oh, okay, what's the next step, what's the next step, what's the next step, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Exactly.
Yes, so
Exactly.
yeah. And so my I guess one of my final questions before the closing question is like what I mentioned or asked earlier. Where would you like where do you see all of this going? Where do you want where do you want all of this to go?
Um. So what I want to see in the next couple of years is working with multiple sex workers and working out of dungeons as a sex worker who's an educator. And then I also, with that, want to educate in the hospitals on how to appropriately take care of sex workers, because it is
Mm,
something that is not addressed. It is not something that is treated with kindness. And sex workers, more than anything, need those resources. And I want to make it clear to the medical industry that we need to change. Okay, so it's criminalized, and sex work needs to be decriminalized 100%, not legalized. There is a difference. Decriminalized means we can run our own businesses, we can take care of ourselves, we can regulate things how we see fit. If it gets legalized, the government becomes our pimps. So we want it decriminalized. So if you see
mm,
anything mentioning decriminalization of sex work, please sign those petitions. Please contact your governors. Please get this out there. Support your local sex workers. I want to create a space either based out of a dungeon or a community center where sex workers and the like civilians can come and get sexual education. They can see what a dungeon looks like, and they can also get their health care taken care of. Is something
mm.
else in the next like 10 to 20 years I want to develop. And the last thing I want to do is just keep working with more sex workers. I want to expand outside of just doing my own, like I produce direct, do the makeup, hair, styling, backgrounds, um, editing of all my sex work stuff. I
You do
am,
it
and I do
all.
my own marketing. Yep, I do my own marketing and everything. And I would love to expand to the point where I can have people helping me with all of this. Like I want to be
Yes.
to the point where not only am I helping all these people through my sexual health education and consulting, but as a sex worker, I want to be able to work within my community more so with more people and help get the word out that it needs to be decriminalized and that sex workers need to stop being discriminated within the healthcare system. Another note is a majority of sex workers are people of color, black, transgender, um, queer. Hold on. Let me repeat that. Sorry. Let me repeat that. The majority of
It's
people
okay.
within the sex work community, yeah, within the sex work community are people of color, trans, black, queer, and usually marginalized and poor. Like, it's not always the case, but that is what a majority of sex work looks like. I know in mainstream media it is very whitewashed, but that is exactly what it is. It is whitewashed porn because majority of it is queer, black, and POC. Like I recognize I'm a white person saying all of this, but it is true. Like majority of the sex workers I support are people of color and Black. And there are select white sex workers that I follow who I know are dependent on my support. And it's like, I want to keep giving that support, and I want to get that support in return, if that makes sense. Like, it's altruistic.
Yes.
And yeah, like I want it to be a cycle of everybody just helping everybody. And I want to be one of those facets that help bring sex work out of this demonized, criminalized point of view to a legal perspective, like not illegal, a decriminalized perspective where people are honored, like their bodies are honored, their autonomy is maintained, and they can take care of their needs without the fear of raids. Like, I don't want strip clubs raided anymore. Like, what the fuck is the point of that? Because sex work is the oldest sex work is the oldest profession. It's seriously the oldest profession. And we need to start giving it the respect it deserves. Like, seriously. So that's where I see myself being more involved outside of just self-producing sex, like my own sex work. And I see myself as working either through a dungeon or a community center where I can teach sex work and also allow people to have a safe space to do BDSM scenes and stuff like that. Like, and get their health checked, because STI testing is a must. The one thing when people say fuck like a porn star, you better be getting tested, you better have consent, and you better have negotiated the pay. Like, that's how you fuck like a porn star. And like, the hugest thing is communication. So those are things I want to influence, and those are things I want to change. And that's where I see myself in the next 5 to 10 years, is doing all of this.
And you will.
Yeah, thank you for that question.
And this is the start. You're welcome. Yeah, because
yes.
I mean, kind of conceptualizing the questions. I had some questions prepared. There you go. But then, like, also hearing you talk, I'm like, oh, I clearly know where I need to shift this, and really to kind of steer it, and it became more clear to me as you were talking. I was like, oh yeah, I really need to get these questions out, so then you do get to share your perspective, educate people. And the biggest thing for me was like educate, because I think that's really one of the only ways we'll ever really able to like kind of come together and understand each other through our differences, is to like learn each other's point of views by educating and just trying to listen, but at least educate yourselves, my friend. Okay, so where can people find you? Where can people see your work and all the things that you're doing? Plugging time. Go.
Okay, so I have a really simple link called beacons.page/dangerginger, all lowercase. And there you can find all my links. And I currently need to update one of my links, but that's where you can find my Twitter, my Instagram, my OnlyFans, my AP clips, my Sky privates, my Sext Panther if you like sexting. You can also get my email there if you want to start getting some sexual education or consulting. I am available through my email. And I will be getting a website in the next month or so. And I'll be getting 2 websites will be coming up, one for my sex work and one for my sexual health consulting. So those will be coming soon. And I'm glad I get to announce that. And I am starting on merch, and that should be launching in the next couple of weeks. So yeah. Yep. Yay. So beacons.page/dangerginger is where you can find me.
Yes, my friends.
Thank you so much.
All of what Dangerous Ginger had said, it'll be linked down below in the description box, the show notes for sure. My friend, you're so cool. I I'm speechless. That's what it is. I think this whole time, as you can tell, and I'm sure kind of previous viewers probably have noticed that I really didn't say much because I think coming back into this, I just really wanted to listen,
Mm-hmm.
learn, and digest. And thank you so much again for your time. And um, hopefully, for those that have tuned in, hopefully too that you have been able to learn, not only learn but also take some bits away, that no matter what our line of work is, there is such a common thread of things like making sure to take care of yourself, making sure to stand up for yourself, knowing when enough is enough, and recognizing all of that, because these are like human things that just kind of make us relatable. And yeah, I guess what I'm trying to say is we're all the same in many ways that we feel like we are not. And I guess that's going to be my closing thoughts for the show. Thank you again, Dangerous Ginger DG,
Yeah.
for being here, for
Yeah.
coming to the second season opening for Soul Supremacy. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. And thank you so much, Adrian, for having me. I had a wonderful time. And thank you,
Thank
Soul
you. And you,
Supremacy, for having me.
yes, and you
Yeah.
look amazing. Your hair color, love it.
Okay, let me plug in my friend who did my hair, Scarlet Checkers and Scarlet Checkers Hair on Instagram. She will take good care of you. I just recently got it done by her, so I wanted to plug her in. Thank you.
No, you're welcome. And yes, sponsors. See, that's what happens to successful people, right? People work with you, people support you, and yeah, people to plug. Thank you all so much for coming and listening to the second season opener for Soul Supremacy, where we talked about all things unapologetic, all things passionate, things in pursuit of. And thank you again so much, my friend, Dangerous Ginger, DG, for being here. Thank you. This podcast show is a product of Studio Penguino. For more information about advertising, please visit www.adrianpenguino.com.